Hey everyone, it's Tracy Martirana here from Holistic Wellness with Tracy. Thank you for joining me. Today I'm going to start the Christmas season by making some lemon ricotta cookies. I'm starting by measuring out my flour. I need about 2 cups or 286 grams, however you choose to measure it. And then I'm just adding in 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a half a teaspoon of salt. And I'll give it a little stir just to make sure that they're blended together. I'm going to set the flour aside while I work on preparing my lemon. I just want to wash it and then zest it and juice it. And I will use both the zest and the juice in a couple different ways later on. I try to provide healthy recipes on this channel, but sometimes you do have to have a sweet treat. And making some cookies during the holidays or having some cookies now and then as a little sweet treat for yourself, it's not a bad thing. Sugar, I think, gets a bad rap because in general we eat way too much sugar, but that's because it's in all of our processed foods that we eat. We are drawn to a lot of sweet foods versus more bitter foods, but everything in moderation. So in my stand blender, I am adding a stick of butter and a cup of sugar and just sort of creaming that together. One thing I love about these cookies, the cookie themselves is not overly sweet. The icing is what really adds the sweetness. I added in a little bit of the lemon zest, a cup of ricotta cheese, an egg, and I'm adding a little bit of lemon juice just to add a little bit of lemon flavor to the cookie itself. And then there'll also be lemon flavor in the icing. I blend that together and then slowly begin to add in the flour. I just scoop a little bit in, let it mix in, scoop a little bit more, let that blend in, and then finally dump the rest in and let it go until it's well blended. You might need to stop it once to scrape down the bowl, but once everything's incorporated, you can scrape off the beater and then just cover the bowl in plastic wrap and let it sit in the refrigerator for a couple of hours to firm up. It'll help the cookies keep their shape while you're baking them. After the dough is nice and chilled, I can start making the balls of dough. So I just scoop it out with a cookie scoop and then roll the balls with my hands, place them nicely spaced on the cookie sheet lined with parchment paper. Now this is a large cookie scoop that I'm using here. And once I baked these off, I realized these cookies are a pretty good size, and I actually like these cookies smaller. So for the rest of the cookies, I'm switching to a smaller scoop so that I can have tiny little bite-sized cookies. Then you can eat more of them. So I continue on rolling the balls of cookie dough, putting them on the baking sheet, baking them off. And then when the last batch is out of the oven and cooling, I will start on making the icing. take a cup of powdered sugar, some lemon zest, and just a little bit of lemon juice. You really only need a couple tablespoons of lemon juice. When you first start mixing this in, your first instinct is going to be, oh, this isn't nearly enough liquid, and you're going to want to add more. But I assure you, keep stirring. It eventually does all liquefy. And it's much easier to add a little bit more lemon juice later on than to start off with too much, because it takes a lot of powdered sugar to thicken it back up if you make it too liquidy. So take your time. As you can see, 1 cup of the sugar and 2 tablespoons of the juice ends up being perfect. And then you can just drizzle this over the cookies, or I like to just dip them in. If you really like lemon, you could take a little bit of that zest that I had left over and sprinkle a little bit of that over the cookies if you wanted to add a little bit more. I think this is actually plenty of lemon as it is, and I like lemon, so, you know, that's saying something. And I just continue to dip them until I'm all done, and then put them on a serving platter, and they're ready for Santa. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, click the like button, check out some of my other videos. I appreciate you, and have a great day.